I really have no idea what's going to happen right now. I don't. I saw myself getting the camera ready and felt like something was coming up, but I don't really know. Let's see. Maybe I'll tell you a little bit how this happens, filming these things, because it's a good example of how life is happening for me more and more and more. I mean, you probably noticed that every now and again I stare off into space. I'm not looking for anything. When I look away, I'm actually looking inside, looking for the word inside. But it's not a mental process, actually. It's a spontaneous, unconscious process of letting the words bubble up in me and come out. And this is, for me, what I've discovered is the potential process with human design. And I say potential because it's not how everybody comes to human design. It's not what everybody is looking for. It's not the idea people have about human design. I find I don't go looking at a lot of stuff online about human design. I stay really specific to listening to the basics of recordings that I have from Ra'uruhu, so from the first teacher / student of human design, and from those who learned from him. Just someone who prefers going to source. I mean, they're not source, but the foundation. But every now and again, I'll do a search for something around human design on YouTube, for example. And I just see a whole bunch of stuff that I cannot relate to. I mean, there's good stuff out there, but there's a lot of stuff I just really can't relate to because, and this is normal with any kind of method or system or body of knowledge. It gets distorted, it gets used in different ways, and I see that it's used very much as just another profiling system. Even to the point that now, when I started my experiment in living my design, which maybe I'll get into that because I started it really in the head. It's switched now. But when I started it and I talked to people around me about it, as I do when I start a new experience and get excited about it, and there's something in there that I feel is worthy and useful. And of course, a projector, so I'm looking at everybody's designs and I'm telling them about their designs and I'm, look, this is you, look, this is your true self, look, you could be this. And I saw that the majority of people took it just in that way. Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah. And most are just relating it to astrology because they've already looked into their own astrological profiling. And there was always something in me that deflated. You're not seeing the potential here. Because yes, human design can show you your true self. Now, it shows you something that you need to go verify. Because if you believe it, then it's just another belief system, which is what a lot of people I see using it as, just another belief system. And from the beginning, when Ra'uruhu brought the knowledge out, after studying it, after receiving it and studying it for some years, and he brought it out and he said constantly, don't believe me, validate it, experiment with it, check for yourself, self-evaluate, because it's about your own experience. It's about your own experiment. See how it is for you. I mean, in human design, you have all of the description of all of the gates and lines in something called the Rave I Ching. But Ross said that as you go along in your experiment, you could write your own Rave I Ching, because these are only signposts. Like when you look at human design, you're looking at a map, you're looking at a blueprint, you're looking at, I think of the metaphor of you're looking at the finger pointing at the moon. But you got to get past the finger and you got to go find the moon. So, yes. So remember, this is just the finger, this the pointing finger. This is just a map. And the value in it is the self-verification. And I see that most of the people that I spoke to about human design early on, and even recently, for whatever it is, this is their journey, right? But they came, we spoke about it. Oh, that's cool. Oh, no. Boom. That was it. But the heart, the soul of human design is that it is a map that can point out to you, the finger that points to the moon. And what's the moon? What's the beauty that you're going to stare at, that you're going to see, that it's going to reveal is, I would say the major thing is you see where your minds, where your not self-ego minds hangups are, where your particular hangups are, what is not letting you surrender to being you. So you see the this and that. You see the polarity of what you are not in a consistent way, where you are open, where you are a receptor to life, so where you are fluid, and then you see where you are fixed, what you are putting out, what your aura energy is that other people are feeling when they're around you. What are you bringing to others? What do you bring to this ocean of life? What is your waveform like? And then what are you receiving? Because we are all interference fields in the network of this consciousness field of life. And this is the key, because when you see where you are fluid, where you are open, where you are transparent, where you are not fixed, where you are inconsistent, which is, here's a visual, here's my design. Do you see all the white? It's all transparent. You see where it's colored, my splenic center, my throat, and my G center. That's where I'm fixed. Everything else is fluid. Sometimes I talk about it, all the four motors, no energy, no consistent energy. It's where things are coming in. I'm receiving from around me, from others, and from the transit field. And it's where I amplify it. Whereas here where I'm fixed, this is what I play. This is my instrument. Or rather, this is what plays itself, if I actually want to be truer to the experience of it. So where I'm open and where I'm fixed, that's what I'm seeing in human design. This is the beauty. But why? Because, okay, I see it. And because the whole point is, and this has been from the beginning of esoteric knowledge, if you really pay attention to what is being said over millennia, it's that no mind is for you and your mind is for others, which is what human design tells you. Your mind is not for navigating your life. Your mind is for putting stuff out there for other people, to entertain them, to inform them, to give them some inspiration, to let them know what you are seeing as you're moving along your trajectory in this life. But it's not for navigation. It's not meant to be your master. You're not meant to be a slave to your mind. And so what human design is showing you is how your mind enslaves you. And this is wonderful because it doesn't just leave you there. You have a tool of how to, little by little, let go of that enslavement, get out of that enslavement, because it gives you a way to look at your unconscious. This is what's beautiful. Because in human design, you have where you're conscious, which is who you think you are. It's where it's what you are identified with. It's what your mind is so sure that you are in this life, that you just, want to make all of this stuff happen. This is who you are. This is it. And this is your unconscious that's just doing its thing. This is your body. This is your body's life that's moving along, having a life, taking decisions. But you think you're taking decisions from over here. So you're always worried about who you think you are, and you don't know half of yourself. So what you see in life is all the openness, all where you're receptive, which is pressure. I mean, we do have 2 pressure centers, which are specifically creating pressure to live, pressure to think, and try to come up with reason for everything. I mean, this is just, you gotta laugh at the human condition. You gotta pressure to think and come up with answers, and then pressure to do something about it. These are the problems, and then let's do. So living in the pressure sandwich. But in effect, every place that you're open ends up being a sort of pressure to you, because your mind thinks it's all a problem, because it's not fixed. It's like, I gotta fix this, I gotta make it consistent. It comes, it goes, no, I gotta make it consistent. It can't go away, stay. And so this not self-transparent part is pressuring what? It's pressuring who you think you are. So then that mind gets distorted. That's how your frequency gets distorted. That's how your instrument gets out of tune. Because yes, this black here is part of you, but the way that you think about who it is so pressured by all the problems that your mind believes that you have, right? So let's just take this that I've talked about. In my mind, it's a big problem that I don't have consistent energy. It's a terrible problem that I'm a big slug. It's a problem that I'm a sloth. It's a problem that I have days where I just want to stay in bed and read. I have a lot less energy than you would imagine, because most people see me when I'm around energy and I'm amplifying it. But if you were a fly on my wall every day, you would see that it's not the case. I'm quite a lazy, and I don't like that word because it's mean and negative, but I am a creature of quietness and stillness. That is my nature, right? But my mind thinks it's a problem my mind uses the word lazy, because it's pressured by all of this. It's pressured by the fact that the world thinks this is a problem. The world tells me you can't live like this. You have to be productive. You have to be a productive member of society. You've got to make things happen. You've got to go after stuff. You've got to build it and they will come. If you know that movie. And that's what my mind is pressured about. So let me just give you a little example. My personality sign in 35 is right here in the throat center. It's in a manifesting channel. So who I think I am is a manifester, right? And all the open centers pressuring me. When the energy comes in, I got to do something about it. I've got to make something happen. I have to initiate. I have to manifest. I have to make things come to form in the world. I have to share experiences. I have to have a new experience. I have to share with people how I feel about my experiences. I need to share. I need to fix things with people. I need to take them to progress, because that's the gate 35 is progress and change. I need to make things change. Things cannot stay the same. They need to change. They need to go forward, close that door and open another door. So I get stuck there because I think that's who I am. And it is my personality, yes. But it gets, the story about it gets distorted because of the pressure in the open centers, right? I need to be worth something, my open heart center. I'm not worth something if I'm not available to other people so that we can progress together. So this is the beauty of human design, is that you start to see exactly where your hangups are. Now, then what? Then what do you do? Nothing. This is the beauty. Because you don't do anything, you just see it. You see it. And you start seeing where you're meant to be taking decisions, which for me is my splenic center here, right? This is my channel of talent, channel of the wavelength. And this, I'm supposed to be making, my design takes spontaneous decisions based on instinctive taste. And you can't see it here, but behind it, the intelligence of my body, it's behind this arrow here. It's in the deeper layers. The intelligence of my body is inner vision. Now, this piece for me made all the difference in the world when a mentor invited me to experiment with inner vision. I was like, that's the thing that's always been there that I've ignored, is that I see the decision behind my left eye. And what I see has a taste to it. So it comes out in my channel. But the body intelligence is something unconscious. And now what I'm doing is the only thing you do, and you don't even do it because it happens, is you start to create space between your mind's blah, 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 because it doesn't stop. So you just create space between that to gives you a chance to see the actual way that your design naturally takes decisions, which is not from the not self ego mind. It's from body intelligence. It's from body intelligence that's connected from before your personality came in. It's connected to what's called the magnetic monopole. That's sitting here in the sternum, in the G center. And that magnetic monopole is programmed with your life, basically. It's taking you on your trajectory. It's attracting your life to you. It's attracting you to your life. It is pulling you along. I always think of a cable car. That's, for me, a really nice visual. The cable car. Well, it's got the cable. The thing isn't going anywhere else, right? The cable car itself is the body, is the vehicle, it's the design crystal. And the cable, or the driver who really doesn't do anything, right, because it's attached to the cable, that's pulling you along your line of geometry. And it is moving in space. And so your body, in this intelligence that it has, for me, inner vision, informing my instinctual taste, takes decisions moment by moment. So the only thing, when you start to see it, you just start to see, oh, but that's my mind. Okay, maybe I'll calm down a little bit and wait. Everybody hates the word wait. I think of wait more as be. Give space. Be and give space. Space between stimulus and response. There are things that are coming at you in life. There are things that are happening. It's all about decision making. So this thing that comes at you, give it a little space. Just a little bit of space. Because in that space is where your body takes a decision, and you can start to see your mind's bullshit, your body's decision. Your mind's bullshit, your body's decision. And for human design, the essence for me, as I see it now, and who knows, maybe a year from now I'm talking about it a little differently, but the experience for me is that I feel the spaciousness growing between those two things. And so I can see my mind's narratives, my mind's stories. I see all, and this map helps me to see it, because this map gave me the finger pointing at the moon, right? This is the finger, it's pointing to show me, this is where you think you have a problem, this is where you think you have a problem, this is where you think you have a problem, here, and here, and here, right? So we know what all these centers pressure us. You know, I'm thinking about things that don't matter. I need to be certain about those things that don't matter. And tell people about these things I'm certain about that don't matter. I need to prove that I have some worth, and I need to improve myself constantly, and I need to avoid confrontation and avoid truth, and I need to deal with these emotions and this nervousness that comes in, because it's a problem. I got to do something about the emotions, and I got to move fast. I got to do everything fast, now, and I need to have sustainable energy and be available for everyone all the time for anything, and say yes, because I got to have those fixed rhythms to grow. Like, I can go further into it if I look at my particular gates that are there. Those are the, you know, here I need the principles. I'm always concerned that we're doing the right principles around relationship. So I see where my mind is holding on, and then I start seeing how it's trying to hijack my design. So where I'm fixed, my mind is trying to hijack that because it's pressured by the openness. And as you just start seeing that, it's like, this is the deconditioning process. And I feel the deconditioning process is really about cleaning this, I don't know where, out. Because the mind doesn't shut up. It gets a little bit quieter because it sees it's defeated, and it's not going to succeed anymore in ruling your life. But really, it's like a tuning fork is what I see. It's like, you know, there's this seeing the map is like hitting a tuning fork, and there is an a self-tuning mechanism within you that starts to get rid of the distortion and make your frequency cleaner and cleaner. And it is not a fast process, but think how many years you've been doing the bullshit game. And so it takes a while to get there. I was actually just reading before, I was reading about, there's a great book I love by Itzhak Bentov called Stalking the Wild Pendulum, about consciousness. Really, really interesting, small book, really great. And yeah, and he speaks about how the universe is sound, it's vibration, it's waves. And that's interesting, because in human design, we speak about the consciousness field being the tonal quality. The overall tonal quality is sound, is acoustic. And then each of our brains take in through different senses. So smell or taste or outer vision or inner vision or feeling or touch. Those are the 6 tonal qualities for how our body gets informed about the consciousness field, whose overall quality is acoustic. So interesting. So he's saying the more finely our systems are tuned, the clearer a signal we can pick out of the general noise and jumble of sounds. We start becoming clearer. We start perceiving more clearly. We start hearing, seeing more clearly. And yes, where was that? There was another one I just read. I love this, because you start to see as you move into the process of human design, which is seeing the monster, slaying the monster simply by seeing it and letting and finding these ways to just ignore it and give space, and letting the process of the body tune itself. then you start to find that the resonant state of the body seems to be a very restful and beneficial state. It starts to clean things out. It really starts to clean things out. And you start to find that life is spacious. Life is movement that you're intrinsically a part of. You start to see that, and I couldn't grasp this early on in my human design experience. I'm starting to witness it. You start to see that you're not actually doing anything. Because you start to actually, as your mind starts to calm down, it slowly, the witness emerges. And you start to witness life happening to, in, and through you. And so when you come to human design and you're given your strategy and authority, so you look at where your not self is, then you look at your true self, and what's your strategy and authority then? How can we make decisions? What is the aligned way to make decisions for you, for me, like I talked about, informed by my inner vision, coming out through my splenic instinctive taste. And so you think you're taking decisions. We're trying to take the right decisions. Yeah. You're trying to figure out, am I taking the right decision? Am I not? And there comes a time when you start to see, how can you do something consciously that's unconscious? The only thing you can actually do is just start watching it. And that's where the space is. And that's where I start to see that I'm actually not taking any decisions. And people who are around me are now a little more used to hearing me say, I don't know, my body decided that. My body wants to go. My body doesn't want to go. My body said no. Because it really is this body consciousness, this body intelligence that's just taking decisions. Like I said, I came and I grabbed the tripod and the camera and I put on the light and I was like, what am I doing? I don't know, actually. I don't know. I've had a lot of ideas swirling around in my head, as always. I've had a lot of things I felt like I want to share because, like I said, I'm addicted to sharing. 35, I want to share my experiences, share my feelings. That's what my mind thinks I got to share. And my body goes, maybe we'll share. We're going to share. And I watch myself preparing to share. And I have no idea, none whatsoever, what's going to come out. I am speaking completely unconsciously. I don't know. I turned this on and had no idea. And more and more and more, everything I do, I don't do. Everything this design does feels more and more like that. Is that I just don't know. I went to the post office yesterday to pick up a package, and I don't know how much do I feel like I'm going to get into this experience. Well, there were a bunch of things going on in my mind about the guy who was attending me, who was helping me, because there were some things that were bothering me about him, and my mind was like, rah, rah, and then we should say something, and blah, blah, blah. And I just was like, space. And literally, it's now, let's watch and see what I do. And that was it. I watched to see what I would say. I watched to see what I would do. I watched to see how I would interact with him. And God, it takes away all of the pressure, because you don't have to have the answers. You just don't have to have the answers. You don't have to figure it out. Something's going to happen tomorrow, and your mind is already like, tack, 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 tack. react? What am I going to say? And when I go to that meeting, and then I'm going to meet that person, and they go. You can just wait and watch what you do. And this, I couldn't have done, I wasn't there a few years ago. It's a process. And I understand that in a few more years, I will be along another place along the road of this process, and maybe sharing other things. Who knows? I have no clue. But it becomes really comical because you just give yourself the space, like John O'Donohue says, the radical letting go of yourself in the world. You just begin to let life move and let yourself be in life because you're already there. So it's just the mind starts to let go. You start to let go of the control. You start to take your hands off the wheel because you're not moving it anyway. There's that magnetic monopole that's pulling you along, and you got no choice. You've got a life. That life is moving, and then you can just watch it happen. And I have there's nothing in me that wants to go to the cinema, that wants to go to see a movie. I have no desire to go. Like, for a long time, I already didn't because it kind of jars me being in the cinema. But also, I just feel like I'm watching a movie. Every day, every moment is part of this movie because I'm watching, like, oh, what am I going to do about that? Oh, what am I going to do about that? I don't know. Let's watch. Let's wait and see. And that person, I maybe need to say something to that person because, okay, give it some space, breathe, and wait. And watch what happens. And, I am spontaneous, but, and I know there's people who are emotional and they're not spontaneous. But you're still living in the now. It's still always now. So you don't have to do something about it now. What might happen is in that moment, you might feel like I'm still processing. I need time. Okay, well, that's your answer. That's what your body is doing. It's just going to ask for more time. It's going to give you more time to process. And I understand that to a degree because like I said, my body intelligence is inner vision. Inner vision is abstract. It's not like seeing something out there and knowing what to do. It's waiting. Inner vision has to go a little bit through cycles of taking stuff in. Now I'm watching the process of how I need time to take things in. And I don't always, like a lot of times, most of the time I can't spontaneously say yes or no, I'm going to go there or do that. It needs some time to take in, and then closer to it, when it's more in the now, then I can say something. And there's other examples, maybe I'll get into that later, but it's a process that I'm still a bit in the beginning of watching. So I don't know if I can explain it very well, but I've noticed that this body intelligence takes time to take things in and visually process them for the decision. So, nobody has a design that's too difficult. Nobody has a design that's too challenging because it's just yours. It's just unique. It's just unique. There are designs that are more complex or more simple, but that doesn't even mean anything, because all it is that it still comes down to you see the mind bullshitting you. You create some space between that and the way that you naturally take decisions, and then you start learning to watch. So you start telling the mind to shut up. Well, it doesn't really work. You just start ignoring the mind to do what I would do. And I haven't had to do that as much anymore, but literally, like, go to the corner. Go to the corner. And you just learn to do that. Like, okay, you saying your thing, but I'm not listening. I'm not listening. La, 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 la. I'm going to see what my body does. And you just start to create space so that you stop being so reactive and you let your body move without so much resistance. You in one of the other videos I talked about, you just throw away baggage so that you make the journey lighter. Yeah. So on your your boat in the ocean, your raft in the ocean, it gets lighter. I don't know if that's a good metaphor, but maybe you know what I mean. You lighten up the load, and then you start to watch it. Yeah. One last story that just came to my mind because I talked about the ocean. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Kon-Tiki expedition was Thor Heyerdahl. He started out as a botanist, I think, and then became an anthropologist back in the 40s. After World War II, he did an expedition from Peru to did he go to Easter Island? He went to the islands around there in a balsa wood raft to show what he was finding in archaeological and fossil evidence and in his readings. He was seeing that most likely there was South American influence in the islands. So there were people that went from South America to those islands, and everyone around him was telling that's impossible. They didn't have boats that were able to do that, blah, blah, blah. And he found the plans for a raft that they were using in South America thousands of years ago. And he built it. And he and his 5 other guys, none of them really sailors, and he actually said, I didn't want them to be, I just wanted them to have a good sense of humor and ability to just think on their feet, because what they needed to do was be in touch with nature. All right, they had a sail. I'll put the video down here because it's really nice to watch it. I think it's a really great metaphor for us, is that, in this balsa wood raft, they were going to go through the Pacific Ocean in this raft, not very big. No one was in a boat near them, so there was no, if something happened, that was it, done. Nobody had ever done what they had done, and everybody told them that it couldn't be done. It was a complete trusting of life and nature. It was a complete trusting of their own nature as related to the natural forces around them. It was a trust that as things came up on the ocean, that they would move with it, find ways to deal with it. You're looking at the water right here, seeing sharks and whales every day, going through some storms, they went through the fear at the beginning of like the wood started sucking in a lot of water, and they're like, well, maybe we're gonna sink. And then it got to a point where it sucked enough water that it stopped taking in more, and all it did was the wood kind of grew so that the cables that they had around it actually became tight, and it held together better, and so it floated better. So it's just really, really amazing story, and I feel like that's a good metaphor for what happens, is that you throw yourself into life and you trust that this bioform is part of life, and it has a place in life, and it's part of the flow of life. And so that means if I am surrendering to my natural self, then it connects to nature, and life will take care of me. How can life forget me? I came out of life. I am life. And what really could happen to me? What really could happen to me? The worst would be what? I stop. I die. I'm sorry, there's an immortal part of me. So it would just mean the end of this particular bioform. But what's the problem with that? Death is riding here. Death has been riding here since the beginning. It's there. It's on my shoulder. As soon as I came into life, death is there. It's a promise. And so then what? It's only going to be there when it's time. when it's time. So, why not give a try living as yourself? I said to someone the other day, like, the biggest fear, or I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but the sense that I have in me, like the biggest fear I have is not living as myself. Yeah. And the biggest desire, I guess, is to live as myself. And I don't know consciously what that is. I can only watch the unconscious movement take over and show me what that is as I learn to relax on the raft floating across the Pacific Ocean and witness and watch the adventure, which is probably not an adventure that my mind imagined, and yet it's the perfect one. It's the experience where all of your searching, as T.S. Eliot said, all of your searching just brings you back to where you started, and you see that it's just you.